Up next, we have the facts that Liz Truss sits on the anti-LGBT plus Heritage Foundation, which is interesting because Liz Truss is the UK's Minister for Women's and Equalities. If you don't know anything about the Heritage Foundation, they are an American far-right organisation that is constantly attacking queer folk, abortion access, contraception, all of these general things, and they are frankly horrific. They've also been pumping money into various astroturfed organisations here in the UK, so organisations that look like they're grassroots but are actually being paid for by organisations like the Heritage Foundation. And it's like, here's the thing I did not know. I knew Liz Truss was awful as a person. This is not the first time. This is her at least second time. She had been on the Heritage Foundation panels before she was assigned to the position of Women's and Equalities. And again, so much goes on in the UK. There's so much terrible with this person. We'll go into some of those points later on, that like you can miss major things like this. And it's really quite telling that this person is what passes for an equalities minister. Again, is there anything you'd like to add here? I don't know.
I don't know. We're going to return to Liz Truss. I don't know if you're going to do that at the end like we planned, or if you're going to bring that to the middle just because we have so many topics.
Let's just bring it to the middle. It's easier to do.
Okay.
To give you some examples of, we'll come back to you in a second. We'll come back to Australia in a second. To give you some examples of the other terrible shit she's done. In October 2019, it was reported that Liz Truss wanted to replace the Women's and Equalities Ministry with the Ministry of Freedom. Now,
I also had thoughts about this as well.
Yeah, so if you want to share your thoughts on this, then
I don't know. It depends on how I do have a moderate amount of thoughts. So
go ahead. I've been doing quite a bit of talking. Nice.
Okay, so here's how I learned about this, because before this stream I had no idea who Liz Truss was. It was just a couple days ago Ethel was telling me about some of the things we're going to go over on the stream, and I was like, oh, Liz Truss Heritage Foundation, and I'm like, I've seen that name before. I have no idea who that is. Who's Liz Truss? And they told me that Liz Truss wanted to turn the Ministry for Women and Equalities into the Ministry of Freedom. And my immediate thought there was, oh god, she's gone full mask off, because we of course know that freedom is a dog whistle for removing consequences for bigotry. It's a dog whistle for allowing people to discriminate against marginalized people and facilitating that. So, I was thinking she's gone full mask off and turned what's meant to be about equality into anti-equality. But then when I read into that, when I researched that and read what she was saying about it, I realized that actually she's doing it very differently. Her justification is that she wants freedom for marginalized people because, quote, no one should feel they were hired just for having boobs, unquote. So we basically have this narrative that's the other side of the coin from the Heritage Foundation. It's arguing for the same outcome of basically letting people discriminate without consequences, but from the perspective of the other side, trying to make it about marginalized people rather than quote-unquote freedom for bigots. And I'm sorry, I'll try and be quick.
But that's the thing, that's what she claims her reasoning is.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely, yeah. She's arguing, trying to make it sound like it's coming from the other side, but of course it's the same outcome. It's just a fresh coat of paint, yeah. So it's actually very insidious because she's stripping away rights and protections and initiatives for marginalized people by framing them as oppressive. It's that whole "you're the real bigots" thing, which she's completely ignoring, and she's shutting down discussions of how our freedom is impacted by bigotry. Things like, for example, trans people often will not dress the way we want to, will not use the names and pronouns that we want to, will present as the wrong gender for our safety. That restricts your freedom a great deal. And how do you do that? Is you need protection. You need protections to fix that. or she's concerned about no one should feel they were hired just for having boobs, but at the same time, no one should be refused hiring just for having boobs. And she's using this narrative to shut down those discussions. But then she's also going for this like divide and conquer thing, where she's using these anti-IDPOL narratives to, divide us as marginalized people. Because if you see yourself solely as an individual, you cannot see patterns, you cannot have common interests, and you cannot see how systemically society is harming you, and you can't fight that. You are forced to think, oh, the way I'm mistreated, it must be a problem with me because I'm an individual. So it's a very, very insidious narrative she's painting. There's a lot contained just in that one sentence of, I want to turn the Ministry for Women and Equalities into the Ministry of Freedom.
Yeah. So I'm trying to think of where to take that. As people have noted, there is something almost like 1984 about it. This whole doublespeak, this reversal of hiding what's actually being forwarded here. But sadly, that's just the way the current government is operating. As the GRA reform showed us, they have absolutely no obligation to the public whatsoever. Even if that public supports a marginalized group, they don't care. They'll just do what they want to do, or they'll do what gets them funded. Yeah, that's there's that.